Have you ever paused to think about the hidden forces that shape the most intimate decisions men make in relationships? It's easy to assume it's all about lust or raw desire, but the story is far more layered and surprisingly profound. According to a 2010 National Survey of Sexual Health and Behavior, Indiana University, around 85% of men reported engaging in oral intimacy with a partner at least once in the past year, while another study from the Archives of Sexual Behavior in 2019 suggested that men who actively prioritize their partner's pleasure often report higher levels of overall relationship satisfaction. Mind-blowing, right? Yet the question remains, why do some men practically sprint toward this experience, embracing every moment of giving, while others act as though it's an intimidating mountain to climb? What's the real driver here? Fear, love, ego, or something deeper rooted in our identities as men? Today, we're diving headfirst into the psychological reasons behind why men go down. It may seem on the surface to be just about physical intimacy, but in reality, it's a window into how we see ourselves, how we connect on an emotional level, and how we define masculinity in the modern world. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that emphasizes self-mastery and emotional regulation, will be our guiding lens. By the end of this expanded exploration, you'll have a fresher, richer perspective on masculinity, relationships, and maybe even yourself. Let's get started. Number 1, the pleasure in giving. Contrary to popular belief, confidence isn't defined by taking, winning, or asserting your dominance in a room. Often, genuine confidence stems from the quiet but powerful act of giving. It might seem paradoxical. How can the act of giving confer a sense of power? But think about it. Some men feel an almost indescribable sense of fulfillment when they see their partner light up with joy. This isn't about making a transaction. It's not about racking up mental points or expecting reciprocation tit for tat. It's about reveling in the simple, unfiltered satisfaction of knowing you played a role in someone else's happiness. Imagine an artist meticulously painting a masterpiece. The payoff isn't just in the applause at a gallery opening. The joy comes in every stroke, every subtle blend of color. The process itself brings meaning and a sense of purpose. In the same way, for many men who prioritize their partner's pleasure, each moment is like another brushstroke on a shared canvas. They notice every smile, every shift in body language, and every sign of comfort or bliss. These little cues become a form of validation that doesn't rely on external praise, but rather an internal sense of altruism and connection. Stoicism teaches that genuine control is found in mastering our desires, not in eliminating them entirely. The giving mindset fits right in. Instead of chasing external validation, whether from society, peers, or even your partner, your focus shifts. You're no longer the hunter seeking approval. You become the source of value, the provider of a warm and authentic experience. This change in perspective can radically alter the dynamic in a relationship. You stop asking questions like, "Am I good enough?" and start embracing the idea that your presence, your attention, and your willingness to give are already more than enough. There's also a fascinating angle here, backed up by psychological research. A study published in the Journal of Social Psychology, 2017, found that people who frequently engage in acts of kindness or giving, no matter how small, tend to report increased levels of self-esteem. The cause and effect relationship appears to stem from witnessing the positive impact of your actions and realizing that you have the power to enrich someone else's life. This aligns with Stoic philosophy, focusing on what you can control, your actions and intentions, over what you can't, someone's external reaction, fosters a sense of genuine peace and self-assuredness. So when a man experiences pleasure in giving, it's not just about bedroom acrobatics or fleeting moments of passion. It's a snapshot of a broader identity, someone who measures worth in terms of contribution, not just consumption. That mindset can be profoundly liberating, both for the man himself and for his partner, who senses that his intentions are genuine and rooted in care. Number 2, emotional bond. Behind the physical act lies something less tangible but infinitely more powerful: emotional intimacy. Modern pop culture often paints intimacy as a purely physical experience, something that starts and ends in the bedroom. But ask anyone in a deeply connected relationship, and they'll tell you that real intimacy stretches far beyond touch. It involves vulnerability, shared secrets, eye contact that lingers just a second longer, and whispered confessions that you might not even dare to share with close friends. For men, especially those drawn to Stoicism, this isn't about discarding emotions altogether, but rather facing them head on. True Stoicism isn't about being made of stone. It's about courageously confronting what you feel, learning to master it, and using that understanding to foster healthier relationships. Vulnerability, in this context, involves letting go of the societal script that says men must be invulnerable fortresses. Instead, you step into a realm where you allow someone else to truly see you. Yes, it can be terrifying, but it can also be profoundly freeing. Engaging in oral intimacy can become a doorway to this deeper emotional connection. Imagine the level of trust required to be that close, physically and emotionally, with another person. There's an exchange of energy and closeness that transcends mere technique. Men who lean into this experience rather than going through the motions often discover a kind of emotional resonance that echoes beyond the bedroom. Feeling her heartbeat quicken, noticing the subtle flush on her cheeks, or hearing her sigh in contentment can make you feel alive in a way that's hard to replicate in everyday life. Many relationship experts argue that emotional bonds formed through intimate acts can strengthen a couple's ability to weather conflicts or challenges. In a 2020 study published in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy, researchers found that couples who reported higher levels of sexual satisfaction also reported higher levels of general relationship satisfaction and resilience when facing disagreements. The correlation underscores that intimacy, emotional and physical, acts like a glue that holds couples together, especially when life gets rocky. From a Stoic angle, it's not about getting lost in a whirlwind of passion with no control. Instead, it's about acknowledging vulnerability as a tool for deeper human connection. You harness your emotions to fortify your bond, rather than letting them run wild. In doing so, you demonstrate a unique combination of strength and tenderness that can profoundly enrich both your life and your partner's. Number 3, curiosity breaks comfort. Humans are wired for curiosity. It's the reason we explore distant planets, dive into the depths of the ocean, and incessantly poke at the edges of our understanding of ourselves and each other. When applied to intimacy, curiosity becomes a powerful driver. Some men approach these moments not just as a routine or a checklist item, but as an art form. Every gesture, every sound, every moment of subtle feedback becomes a clue, an intricate language you're learning to speak fluently. Think of it like a scientist conducting a series of experiments. You hypothesize, maybe she likes a gentle touch here, or maybe she enjoys a slower pace. Then you test it out, observe the reaction, and gather data. You refine your approach based on the feedback loop. Over time, this process becomes an evolving dance between two people, rich in detail and layered with deeper understanding. You move away from the mindset of, am I doing this right? And toward the perspective of, what can I learn about her, about us, in this moment? This level of attentiveness fosters a sense of safety and validation. When your partner realizes you're truly invested in reading her signals, she feels understood, and more importantly, valued. That sense of value can open the doors to a deeper connection because it's rooted in genuine care rather than performance or ego. This willingness to explore also pushes men out of their comfort zones. It's much easier to stick to a script, do what you've always done, than to experiment, seek feedback, or occasionally stumble in the pursuit of growth. In a broader life context, Stoicism celebrates the willingness to confront the unknown. By staying curious and asking questions, we become more resilient, more adaptable, and more in tune with reality. These traits mirror how a man can approach physical intimacy, with an open mind, a readiness to learn, and an eagerness to adapt based on the insights gained. And here's a relevant statistic for you. A 2019 survey by the Kinsey Institute reported that couples who routinely experiment and communicate in their intimate lives often rank themselves as happier overall in their relationships compared to those who rarely try new experiences. The difference was striking enough to suggest that curiosity in the bedroom often translates to curiosity in other aspects of life, like trying new activities together, traveling, or simply staying open to new ideas. Number 4, the power dynamic. Power dynamics can be tricky. From the outside, oral intimacy might seem like a scenario where one person is giving while the other is receiving. In reality, though, the lines are far more blurred. Some men experience a sense of submission here, willingly surrendering control to focus entirely on their partner's pleasure. In a world that often frames men as dominant figures, this role reversal can be both exhilarating and challenging. Yet it requires a level of courage to say, in this moment, all that matters is you. Conversely, other men see this act as a form of mastery. They're keenly aware of the impact they can have, the emotional and physical journey they can guide their partner through. It's not a selfish sense of power, but rather a confident understanding that they hold the key to a profound experience. It's like being a skilled musician who knows exactly how to pluck each string to create a harmonious melody. In such moments, the feeling of control isn't about domination. It's about expertly and respectfully orchestrating a shared experience. Here's the beauty, though. Whether you see it as submission or mastery, the true essence is about mutual respect and balanced power. If approached with consideration and open communication, oral intimacy can become a mini cosmos of equality. It's not a hierarchical scenario where one reigns supreme and the other is passive. Instead, it's a fluid dance in which the roles of giver and receiver constantly shift in subtler ways, through feedback, body language, and emotional cues. From a philosophical lens, Stoicism teaches that we are each responsible for our own actions and the energy we bring into a situation. This perspective can apply directly to these power dynamics. If you respect your partner, listen to her wants and needs, and act with genuine care, you create a space where both parties feel powerful in their own ways. It's a collaborative power, not a competitive one. According to data from a 2021 review in the Journal of Positive Sexuality, couples who establish shared sexual scripts, where both individuals contribute to decision-making and exploration, report higher satisfaction and fewer instances of misunderstanding. This suggests that when you embrace balanced power dynamics, you pave the way for deeper connection, clearer communication, and an intimacy that's equally fulfilling for both people. Number 5, breaking free from insecurities. Insecurities aren't reserved for teenagers or inexperienced individuals. They often follow us well into adulthood, sneaking into moments we least expect. And let's face it, the bedroom can be a breeding ground for those quiet, nagging doubts. Am I doing this right? Does she really enjoy it, or is she just being polite? Do I measure up to her past experiences? These questions can pop up involuntarily, fueled by societal pressures that demand men be consummate performers. The problem is that these insecurities can hijack our focus. Instead of being present in the moment, attuned to your partner's signals, you end up fixated on your own internal chatter. That's where Stoic philosophy can be a game changer. By focusing on what is within your control, your intentions, your genuine care, your willingness to learn, rather than what's outside of it, your partner's past experiences, unrealistic media portrayals, or societal judgments, you liberate yourself from the endless cycle of self-doubt. It might sound simplistic, but the shift from am I enough to I am fully present can change everything. When you stop evaluating your worth through the lens of perfection, you open up space for authenticity. Real intimacy has little to do with perfect angles or textbook techniques. It flourishes in the messy, unpredictable, and beautifully human moments where two people simply show up, flaws and all, and try to connect on a deeper level. Moreover, authenticity often proves to be far more attractive and comforting than any choreographed performance. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Sex Research found that 78% of respondents, both men and women, rated emotional presence and authenticity as more important than technical skill in satisfying intimate encounters. This stat underscores that genuine connection often trumps choreographed perfection. Your partner is more likely to appreciate your sincerity and emotional investment than your precision. When insecurities do flare up, remember, Stoicism doesn't ask you to pretend they don't exist. It asks you to acknowledge them and then direct your energy toward meaningful actions. So instead of being paralyzed by questions like, am I doing this right? You gently shift the focus to the signals you're receiving, the desires your partner is expressing, and the effort you can invest in making her feel valued and secure. Number 6, taboos and stigmas. Even in today's world, where open conversations about intimacy are more common than ever, certain stigmas persist. You've probably heard the outdated notions, real men don't go down, or it's submissive. These cultural hang-ups can be deeply ingrained, depending on how you were raised or the social circles you operate in. Yet true intimacy, especially the kind that fosters a powerful emotional bond, thrives when you're able to cast aside limiting beliefs that serve no one. Think about how quickly these taboos evaporate when trust and genuine acceptance enter the picture. If you're in a relationship where mutual respect and open communication are the norms, these stigmas lose their grip. Stoicism can play a crucial role here too. By valuing internal virtues like honesty, respect, courage over external opinions, you give yourself the freedom to explore and connect without the weight of judgment. Breaking these stigmas isn't just about improving your own experiences. It also signals to your partner that you accept her wholly, every facet of her being. That sense of acceptance can be liberating, especially for women who may have also encountered their own set of taboos and societal judgments about their bodies and desires. When both individuals in a relationship actively reject superficial or toxic societal scripts, they create a sanctuary of acceptance. It's an environment where both of you can be your authentic selves without shame or fear. There's a broader societal implication here too. According to research from the Kinsey Institute in 2021, couples who actively challenge sexual stigmas by communicating openly and experimenting freely tend to report higher levels of mutual trust and long-term satisfaction. This challenges the myth that such acts are taboo or fringe. In reality, they can be pivotal in building robust, happy relationships that go the distance. Number 7, communication is key. We often hear that communication is everything, but nowhere is that more true than in the realm of intimacy. If the two of you can't have a candid conversation about likes, dislikes, and boundaries, you're effectively flying blind. Some men might feel awkward initiating such discussions, fearing it'll kill the mood or make them seem inexperienced. But the reality is that open dialogue is the superhighway to deeper connection. Asking questions like, "Do you like this?" or "How does this feel?" might seem simple, but these queries can radically improve the experience for both parties. Don't forget nonverbal communication either. Paying close attention to subtle changes in your partner's posture, breathing, and facial expressions can give you real-time feedback on what's working and what isn't. This can eliminate the guesswork that often leads to anxiety or discomfort. A 2021 survey by Durex revealed that couples who frequently communicate about their intimate preferences report a 54% increase in overall satisfaction compared to those who seldom engage in such dialogues. That's a big gap, enough to show that communication isn't just a nice bonus. It's an essential building block of a fulfilling, intimate life. From a Stoic viewpoint, communication aligns with the virtue of wisdom, the ability to perceive reality accurately and make informed decisions. Instead of assuming, you're gathering information. Instead of stumbling around in the dark, you're lighting the way with mutual understanding. This approach frees you from needless anxiety about performance and empowers you to adapt, grow, and truly meet your partner's needs. Number 8, the giver's high. Ever heard the phrase, the giver's high? It's more than just a catchy term. Psychologists have long studied the phenomenon that doing good or giving to others can trigger feel-good chemicals in the brain. Much like the endorphin rush people experience from exercise or chocolate, giving selflessly can create a flood of positive emotions. When translated into the context of intimacy, men who focus on their partner's pleasure can experience this euphoric sense of well-being. In a 2006 study from the National Institutes of Health, researchers discovered that areas of the brain associated with pleasure and reward lit up when participants engaged in charitable acts or saw that their generosity had a positive impact on someone else. Now, while that study wasn't specifically about intimate relationships, the principle remains the same. Giving activates a reward mechanism in your brain. It makes you feel good to make someone else feel good, creating a positive feedback loop. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about the power of virtue, essentially doing the right thing because it aligns with your highest self. When you apply that notion to intimacy, you treat the moment as an act of genuine care, a demonstration of your commitment to your partner's well-being, rather than a chore or obligation. The result is a form of emotional synergy where both of you end up feeling nourished on a psychological level. Interestingly, this aligns with modern findings in relationship psychology. Studies indicate that couples who focus on each other's pleasure tend to be more satisfied overall, not just in the bedroom, but in the relationship at large. It's a ripple effect. When positive experiences become the norm, conflict diminishes and trust grows. Over time, that trust forms the backbone of a resilient, loving, and deeply fulfilling connection. Final thoughts: be the man who dares. At the end of the day, relationships aren't built on grand, show-stopping gestures you see in the movies. They're formed through a tapestry of smaller, consistent acts that demonstrate care, curiosity, vulnerability, and respect. The simple moments where you lean in, ask how she's really feeling, or pay attention to a subtle shift in her mood can carry far more weight than any expensive date night or flashy gift. Be the man who dares to step outside his comfort zone, not because you want to impress or prove something, but because you value genuine connection over fleeting ego boosts. Real intimacy, physical, emotional, or otherwise, is a space where pride and fear have no place. If you're guided by the principles of Stoicism, you'll acknowledge your fears but won't let them dictate your actions. You'll be open yet strong, vulnerable yet self-assured, curious yet composed. Remember, society might still hold on to outdated norms about what real men do or don't do. But a truly strong man isn't defined by those external standards. He's defined by his internal values, his integrity, his courage to show up, and his respect for the people he cares about. In the end, what you bring to a relationship speaks volumes about your character. Are you present, attentive, and open to growth? Do you value her pleasure and emotional needs as much as your own? If so, you're well on your way to forming a connection that transcends the mundane and delves into something genuinely transformative. If you've made it this far, it means you're not afraid to explore new perspectives on masculinity and relationships. So go ahead. Be bold in how you love, be fearless in how you connect, and never hesitate to question old limiting narratives. If that resonates with you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell to stay tuned for more insights. Your support means the world to us and keeps this conversation alive. If you found value in this video, give it a thumbs up and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's challenge the status quo and continue this important discussion about what it means to be a man in a rapidly evolving world, because real men aren't afraid to love boldly, and that includes every facet of intimacy. See you in the next video. Final thoughts: be the man who dares. At the end of the day, relationships aren't built on grand, show-stopping gestures you see in the movies. They're formed through a tapestry of smaller, consistent acts that demonstrate care, curiosity, vulnerability, and respect. The simple moments where you lean in, ask how she's really feeling, or pay attention to a subtle shift in her mood can carry far more weight than any expensive date night or flashy gift. Be the man who dares to step outside his comfort zone, not because you want to impress or prove something, but because you value genuine connection over fleeting ego boosts. Real intimacy, physical, emotional, or otherwise, is a space where pride and fear have no place. If you're guided by the principles of Stoicism, you'll acknowledge your fears but won't let them dictate your actions. You'll be open yet strong, vulnerable yet self-assured, curious yet composed. Remember, society might still hold on to outdated norms about what real men do or don't do. But a truly strong man isn't defined by those external standards. He's defined by his internal values, his integrity, his courage to show up, and his respect for the people he cares about. In the end, what you bring to a relationship speaks volumes about your character. Are you present, attentive, and open to growth? Do you value her pleasure and emotional needs as much as your own? If so, you're well on your way to forming a connection that transcends the mundane and delves into something genuinely transformative. If you've made it this far, it means you're not afraid to explore new perspectives on masculinity and relationships. So go ahead, be bold in how you love, be fearless in how you connect, and never hesitate to question old limiting narratives. If that resonates with you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell to stay tuned for more insights. Your support means the world to us and keeps this conversation alive. If you found value in this video, give it a thumbs up and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's challenge the status quo and continue this important discussion about what it means to be a man in a rapidly evolving world. Because real men aren't afraid to love boldly, and that includes every facet of intimacy. See you in the next video.